Today, I am joined by a gentleman who is one third of arguably one of the best rap groups of all time. I am, of course, talking about Vinnie from Naughty By Nature.
Yes, sir. How you doing, Big Nick?
Real good, real good. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, no problem.
Excellent. So I want to know, what does a typical day consist of for Vinnie during a pandemic?
Oh wow, man! I'm involved in a lot. So, for one, I run our online shop, naughtybynaturesstore.com. So that's always going. Our inventory and fulfillment center is in West Long Branch, New Jersey. So I'm always back and forth up the Garden State Parkway. So just for I bought a new truck in August of 2021, 0 miles on it. I have about 12,000 miles on it right now.
Oh, wow.
So that's a lot of parkway driving.
Yes, sir.
And as a lot of artists know, I'm forming an agency with a couple of partners for the NFT space. You know, a lot of people are on the NFT space. For some who don't know, it's digital art, and there's a lot of other things, but a lot of people are just jumping into it right now. But, you know, we're really digging into this NFT space, and we're looking at the long play and the long-term usage of them and more of a membership aspect. Then, hey, it's election time, man. I'm involved with local politics. So our current Mayor Ted Green, he's running again. So we're getting ready for tons of fundraisers, and I'll be hosting events for him. And man, just tons of stuff during the pandemic going on, you know?
Keeping busy. That's really good.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice. So if I were to talk to you, say, in 1995, hypothetically, do you think you would believe me if I were to say at some point in time in your career you'd be doing a song with New Kids on the Block?
Yeah, because ironically enough, when we first came out in 91, we toured in London with them. New Kids on the Block, we were on the same bill, and that's when we first met Mark Wahlberg. Mark and Treach hit it off really well because they were both working out a lot. And yeah, that was around 92 or so. So we kind of locked in with them, and we were cool with Donnie Wahlberg, and kind of always had this relationship. So we really caught back up in like 2010, 2008. And yeah, definitely, man, we definitely rock it out with them.
Really cool. Nice.
Somehow along the way, I became a pop star, man. It's great. That's a great business to be in, trust me.
Do you have a favorite New Kids on the Block song?
Nice. The Right Stuff. Yeah, The Right Stuff is dope.
Cool. So kind of going to the beginning, what type of kid were you? Were you shy? Were you athletic?
I'm the youngest of 7, 5 sisters and 1 brother. My brother is so much older than I that I basically grew up without a brother. However, I grew up on North 15th Street where there were tons of kids on the block. So I, being the youngest, I had a neighbor across the street, Tamir. He was 3 years older than me. So he was like my big brother growing up. And between me fighting my sisters all the time and then all the guys up and down my block, I definitely wasn't shy. But yeah, I definitely wasn't shy. I had to hold my own because I didn't have a bunch of, you know, blood brothers to run to, but I definitely had a bunch of cool brothers on the block. So yeah, I wasn't shy though.
So who or what inspired you to get into music?
It was the hip hop culture. You know, again, I'm the youngest of 7, 5 sisters, 1 brother. My mother was a crossing guard, so she got paid $250 bi-weekly. We didn't have a lot of money growing up. So, you know, when it came to Pop Warner and Little League sports, my mom never had money to enroll me or buy equipment or anything. There were no extras. So when hip hop came around, there was a guy on my block, Mark Young. He used to always play these mixtapes, you know, and it was like all the underground parties. And I remember hearing Dougie Fresh and the Fat Boys, you know, and sounded like he had rocks in his mouth, and, you know, Buffy the beatbox with all that bass. I'm like, wow, what is that? So I really got into it, you know, from listening to them beatbox, and then breakdancing was big in those days. So, you know, all you did is had to pull out the cardboard or the linoleum. You know, you didn't have to pay for anything. Hip hop was free. So that's initially how I got into hip hop. It was like free recreation around the way, and it didn't cost anything.
Sure. You were a breakdancer as well, correct?
Yes, definitely. I was a breakdancer and beatbox first.
Were you any good at breakdancing?
Yeah, I was fine. Fair enough. I got a fractured collarbone when I was born, so I was always kind of handicapped on my right side, so I couldn't really max out and have equilibrium. But I was good for backspin, windmills, stuff like that. And a handspin. I had a handspin too, and a head spin. So I was all right.
Can you do a head spin in 2021?
Absolutely not. I would not try it, but I would do a headstand. I'd start there.
Nice.
100 pounds later, I don't think I want to stand on my head anymore.
Understandable. So at what point did you meet Treach?
Treach was probably around junior high school, because Treach lived about 5 blocks from Kaygee and I. Kay and I lived like 3 blocks away from each other, and Treach lived across town a little, but it was still in the same neighborhood, so close that, you know, we could all walk to the same park. So I remember meeting Treach probably around 83, 84 in Oval Park, because he walked right across the highway or whatever, or we call it Freeway Drive, right? Freeway Drive, and get to Oval Park. So yeah, that's when I first met him.
Sure. So you're a dope rapper. So is Treach. For someone that doesn't understand, how does adding a classic DJ such as Kaygee take you guys to that next level?
Well, what it was is, you know, I used to break dance and beatbox with my guy Ski. Ski lived across the street from Kaygee. Kaygee was a DJ. I would always hear him DJing. So after I would finish breakdancing with Ski, I would go right across the street to Kaygee's house, and I would beatbox for him while he'd practice various scratches. You know what I mean? And then Kaygee brought a Casio keyboard, and that's when he started getting into production. So I think that's the real, you know, special added value to Kaygee. It was kind of like the evolution of the DJ in hip hop evolving into an actual producer. So when Kay and I hooked up, I told him, I was like, man, I had this kid in my health class. He comes with a new rhyme every other day, and his kid is ill. So Kay was like, bring him over. And I brought Treach over. And basically that was the beginnings of our group. So, you know, Kay was just getting his production skills up and production chops up. So not only was he just a DJ, he actually produced the music for our group.
Very nice. When I think of Kaygee, I've got to give him love for discovering Jaheim. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, Jaheim is from Jersey, and Jaheim is a very gifted voice, man. That brother's vocals is beautiful.
Absolutely. I mean, what went through your head the first time you heard that voice?
Well, when we heard Ja first, mutual friends of ours from New Brunswick told Jaheim to bring his demo tape to our Naughty Gear store. So we had a Naughty Gear store from 94 to 99, downtown Newark, New Jersey. So Jaheim dropped off the tape, the cassette, to our manager, the manager of the store, Kevin Jackson, and Bob forwarded it to Kaygee. So the first demo, he was like covering a bunch of Luther Vandross songs. So when Kay heard that demo, he was like, wow, yeah, this kid is hot. And then, you know, he locked in with him and developed them.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I heard him, I believe it was on the radio. And for whatever reason, I thought it was like a Motown legend. Maybe he's from The Temptations, some classic voice. And then I see him on TV, he's like 20.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was, man. But you never know. Diamond in the rough.
Absolutely. So let's go to 1991. You're working on your second album. You guys just changed your name from the new style. So what's the goal going into album 2 and the name change?
Well, our album 2, album 1 as Naughty by Nature was the first album in 91, and then 92 we did our second album. So really what it was is we were a group called The New Style in 89, 90. And then when we signed to Flavor Unit Management, before we signed to Tommy Boy, we had to do the name change. So yeah, it was difficult because we were used to having the name The New Style in high school, and we built that brand locally. Everyone knew about The New Style, but in order to get away from the old Sugar Hill Records label and get a fresh start with Flavor Unit, which was Queen Latifah and her partner Shakim, we had to change our name. So, you know, we dug through the lyric books. Treach dug through his lyric book, and we came up with Naughty by Nature. Naughty by Nature was actually the title of a New Style song.
Gotcha. I think the name change worked just fine for you, by the way.
Oh, yeah, that was incredible, man. I don't think the New Style would ring the same way Naughty by Nature does now, 30 years later.
Sure. So when you're working in the studio on something like O.P.P, do you have any idea how classic of a song that's going to be?
No, we didn't. We just knew it felt good. You know, the track felt good. And back then, a lot of people weren't sampling Michael Jackson or the Jackson 5. So we just thought it had that feel-good vibe, a party vibe. But we always knew that the call and response element on the song, you know with O.P.P, yeah, you know me. We took that from our early club days, because prior to having songs on the radio or videos, we had to go out there and bang out, club for club and compete against all the kids. So we always knew that crowd participation element would be important. So when we started recording, we always took that element with us.
Absolutely. Another classic on there, Uptown Anthem. Tell me about that classic.
Well, Uptown Anthem was added to our first album once we blew up with O.P.P and Everything's Gonna Be All Right. Just so happened at the same time the movie Juice was about to come out or just come out, and the soundtrack was being assembled. So, we were in the studio one day and Kaygee was just flipping through beats for us. He played Uptown Anthem, that track, and he was going to throw it away. He was like, yeah, I'm not feeling this. And Treach was like, what? Man, play that again? Like, oh, this is dope. And then Treach started chefing up those lyrics, man. And yeah, that became one of those unexpected bangers.
Nice. So being that you guys are so successful on that album, do you have a lot of pressure going into your next release?
That was the first album. The second album was
1993,
Hip Hop Hooray.
Yeah.
Well, at that point, we had on our blinders, because unlike today, everything is about, oh, I'm getting the money and I'm doing this, that, and the other. Back then we just cared about the skill and the craft, and we were in such a zone coming from New Style to Naughty by Nature, O.P.P, Everything's Gonna Be All Right, Uptown Anthem work. So we were just in studio mode and grinding it out. It wasn't necessarily pressure. It was just the fact that, man, we finally made it and we're doing what we love. So we're just pushing it out. And just so happened, our first single on our second album, which is usually the sophomore jinx, first single off the second album was Hip Hop Hooray. So that was like a monster.
Absolutely.
We got over that sophomore jinx real quick.
Real fast. Absolutely. When you're at a show, what do you think fans want to hear first or more? Is it Hip Hop Hooray or O.P.P?
To be honest, when we start our show, 15 minutes into the show, everyone's yelling, "Filmy Flow, Filmy Flow, Filmy Flow, Filmy Flow." They love that song, Filmy Flow is the joke that the crowd wants to hear.
Excellent. So when you talk about Hip Hop Hooray, you had a lot of hip hop artists in that video. How'd you link up with so many other artists?
Yeah, well, most important, for starters, I mean, wow, it was crazy, because for one, we were signed to Flavor Unit Management, so that was Queen Latifah. So she and Moni Love did a cameo. Of course, they have the classic song "Ladies First," at the time, Run DMC, they were just getting back in the groove of things, and they were working on a Down with the Kings album. So we collaborated with them, and Run DMC went on tour with us. We took them on tour with us at that time. So they did the cameo. Eazy-E was just leaving the NWA situation as Death Row was forming, and he came out to the East Coast and collaborated with us. So Eazy-E was in the video. We had D Nice, the legendary D Nice, in the video, standing for Kaygee on the DJ booth. So we had tons of friends and family. That was crazy.
Definitely. Absolute classic. So in 1995, you came back because you heard hip hop needed another anthem. You said Filmy Flow, Poverty's Paradise. How was it working on that album?
Poverty's Paradise was great because by 95, Kaygee, his production skills were evolving. He began producing R&B. He produced Janae, the Hey Mr. DJ record, and that first album of theirs. So he was working with a lot more musicians in the studios as opposed to just sampling and beat programming. So, the whole sound was fuller. And by the time we got to that third album, Poverty's Paradise, yeah, those skills were up. We kind of felt like we knew what our audience expected or wanted from us. I began writing a whole lot more. And man, it was just such a collaborative effort that, that's one of our favorite albums. Well, one of my favorite albums from and we won the Grammy for it. So I think at that time, musically, we were the most focused. And yeah, it kind of shows in the studio on that album.
How's it feel to win a Grammy?
Wow, that was totally unexpected. We were nominated for 1993, but we lost out to Will Smith for Summertime. And then, we just kept at it, man. And again, had the blinders on. It was about making good quality product for us. So when we were nominated again that year and won, we were like, oh man, it's like we won the Super Bowl of music. Not many artists, receive or earn a Grammy, and they have like 50-year careers and never accomplished that. So for us to accomplish that, it was definitely a blessing.
Definitely incredible. Probably my favorite Naughty by Nature song has got to be Craziest. Tell me about that song.
Oh man, the Craziest, back then it was crazy in Jersey. Back then, New Jersey, our area in particular, the Northeast Orange area, Essex County, was the stolen car capital. So, it was craziness going on. At that time, 95, 96, all of the young kids around our way was just rallying behind us, man. We had the energy of the streets. So the streets were really turned up. And we made a song, to that effect called The Craziest. And for me, The Craziest came about in my verse was inspired by Jermaine Dupri. So I always give him props for this. Prior to us releasing that album, Jermaine Dupri made a comment in a magazine saying, everyone gets on Crisscross because they don't write their rhymes. Well, Vinnie from Naughty by Nature doesn't write his rhymes. And we're like, hold on, where did that come from? Like he's never been in the studio with us. So I'm like, you know what? I got to step up my pen game, man. And that was the song for it. So, that whole verse was dedicated to not Jermaine Dupri, but just anyone who didn't think that I could write rhymes.
Wow, that's crazy. I never heard that.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever get a chance to hit Jermaine up for that loot that he owed you for that jump shit?
Yeah, we talked to Jermaine about it. I actually had a conversation with Jermaine about the entire situation before we dropped the album and we dropped the song. So we have a mutual friend, Muhammad Bell. His father is Robert Cool Bell from Kool and the Gang. Okay. So we all grew up together, and Muhammad worked very closely with Jermaine Dupri back then. So I told Muhammad, and he assembled a meeting for us. I was like, listen, Jermaine, the comments you made, I don't take it personally, but I'm telling you right now, we have a response to that comment, and it's coming on this album. So I remember JD saying, hey, man, I didn't mean to step on nobody's toes or whatever. Like, no, it's all good. We're going to address it on the song, and we did that. But till this day, I, thank Jermaine Dupri for keeping me on my A game and making sure that, you know, I keep that pen game tight. So eventually we have to collab with JD.
That'd be great. Yeah. Can you help me understand that story? So from what I've researched, and I've had people comment on my YouTube channel about, so what's Treach's issue with Crisscross and Jump? I heard because at the end of O.P.P, you guys were kind of jumping around and you thought maybe Jermaine was inspired by it. Is that correct? Or can you shed light?
Yeah, it was definitely a Jack move. You know, we used Jackson 5 ABC, and then he used the Michael Jackson on Jackson 5 sample for the jump thing. And it was like they definitely spoofed Naughty by Nature, you know, coming off of O.P.P, and we were jumping around, and they just jacked the whole vibe, and it worked for Crisscross. We weren't mad. So, you know, we weren't mad because we know that we would inspire other artists. So for Jermaine to be inspired and do that song Jump for Crisscross, it was cool. But the problem we had is like, oh, Jermaine is trying to call us out or call me out for not writing rhymes, but you just jacked our whole shit with Crisscross and Jump. So that's why Treach said that, you know?
Okay, that's crazy. Because I never heard that part of the story where he made that comment about you not writing your own rhymes. That fills in so much.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
No, we wouldn't just jump out at anybody for no reason. We're just like, listen, man, don't come over here trying to call us out because they're giving you shit about Crisscross. It's like, Naughty is solid. We've been solid. We've been working since day one. And hey, if you rattle this cage, we definitely coming for you, coming for your neck.
For sure. Now, Naughty by Nature also did the theme song for Shane McMahon. I mean, how was it getting that WWE money?
Yeah, that was crazy, man. When WWE called us, I've always been a fan. Come on, who hasn't been a fan of Vince McMahon? And I grew up in the days of Andre the Giant and Bob Backlund and Billy Graham and all of that. You know what I mean? So
definitely.
For us to collab with them and have Shane, you know, reach out to us, that was dope.
Because I think Shane said basically Naughty by Nature is his favorite group, and he specifically recruited you guys. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. It was a definitely intentional reach out. But you know what? For some reason, we were never invited inside the ring, man. I got to fix that. See what's up.
That makes sense. That would have been huge, especially around that time.
Yeah, definitely. Even right now, man, for our 30th anniversary, maybe Treach and I, we probably have beef with someone in the WWE. Some beef we need to settle.
You guys be a great tag team. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure. So you guys are having so much success. Were there other artists or other labels that maybe try to split it up? For example, did somebody want to pull Vinnie, but not the rest of the group? And I guess one, did that happen? And two, how would you handle that?
Yeah, well, when we were shopping and transferring from New Style to Naughty by Nature, as we were shopping around, there were a couple of labels who said, hey, man, straight up, we just want Treach, you know? We had a solid demo, and this was a body of work that we all put together. They were like, all right, bet. Yeah, we get it. Now give us Treach, you know? So as a unit, man, we come from the streets together, and we had a long-term plan. So we were like, no, this is a unit deal. And, you know, Treach was down with it as well. And as a unit, we just decided to stay a unit. So that wasn't happening. And then by the time we got to Tommy Boy, again, we were under Queen Latifah's management, Flavor Unit Management. She was signed to Tommy Boy. So that was an easy transition and sell when it came to the group.
Sure. Now, does that say something about Treach's character for not just jumping to be a solo artist? He was loyal to the group and you and everybody?
Yes, Treach is one of the most loyal brothers, man, I've ever met, you know, and he has such a big heart. And even when Naughty by Nature as a unit got on, you know, Treach, his first thing is to reach back out to all of the brothers in the hood. And till this day, man, he'll think of them first before he even thinks of himself. And, you know, it rubs off on all of us. That's the way we just grew up because we had a lot of hometown support. So it's like, even me, man, I don't even have any. I think I've given away most of all of my album plaques, all of our merchandise. Like, I just give stuff away, you know, but yeah, a lot of
album plaque. You gave away an album plaque? Are you serious?
Oh, yeah. I just feel that it's better off out in the universe and people you encounter and people who may, you know, you touch them and they touch you. It's like, here's something special from me to you. And that will go a super long way.
That's incredible. Really cool. Another thing that I find kind of crazy, I guess we're backing up a little bit. So you guys had a role in Who is the Man, but you admitted, I think, in an interview that you didn't even watch the movie. I mean, you didn't want to see yourself on the big screen or anything?
Yeah, like I'm definitely not a television and film guy. You know, I just don't have the patience for it. We've done Who's the Man and Meteor Man, you know, a couple of movie sets. There's a lot of sitting, waiting, and hurry up and waiting. And it's so much different than being a musician. You know, when you're touring and you set your own hours, besides touring, you set your own hours in the studio. You just basically get to do what you want and you control everything. So, you know, that acting thing, man, that's definitely for Treach. I can't do that shit.
Did you guys get a chance to hang out with Another Bad Creation and Meteor Man at all?
Get to hang out with who?
ABC, Another Bad Creation?
Oh yeah. I remember that in Media Man, right? Another Bad Creation. Cypress Hill was in that movie. That was a Robert Townsend movie.
Yes.
And that's what really turned me off, man. There was a lot of waiting around during that movie set. So all I remember is sleeping a lot and then popping up and having to be on and, you know, memorize whatever lines we said in that movie.
Nice. So we talked a little bit about possible solar aspirations. So Treach did More Than You Till I'll Join You, a classic song. I guess two-part questions. One, what did you think about that song? And two, did you give any feedback to Treach saying, hey, I want to give a shout out to Pac as well?
Well, at the time, you know, Treach and Pac, they were very close, you know, even when before we came out, they were on tour together. When Latifah and Shakim took Treach out on tour, he met Pac. And then both their careers just blew up and they had a cool relationship. So when Pac passed, you know, Treach just poured his heart out on that song. It was like, that was probably one of the fastest songs I ever saw him chef up, you know? And, you know, it was just organic. It was real. It wasn't like a marketing ploy. And you could kind of feel it. You know, that song is really organic, you know? And, you know, he made it happen.
Absolutely.
He made it happen and it became a classic, definitely a classic song.
So being that he was so close with Pac, it was more just kind of meant for him to be on that song by himself type of thing?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, when we work, you know, again, I started off as a beatbox and break dancer, and you know, I identified Treach as like, yo, he is an LMC. You know, you got a lot of people who can write or write rhymes, but then you have people who are gifted. So Treach has always been gifted. He's always been our lead writer, and even in our writing process, man, it's like, when we get tracks from Kaygee, sometimes Treach will just lace the whole song and like, that's all you know, we know. And then some songs, sometimes he will start a song and I'm like, yo, that sounds so cool. It just sounds like you should eat by yourself, man. Finish your breakfast, you know? And we get him in there like that, like songs like Filmy Flow, you know? I'm like, nah, Treach, I'm not needed on that. You do your thing.
So did that actually happen? Maybe you had a verse on Filmy Flow and you're like, you know what, I'm just going to give it all to you, Treach? Or...
Yeah, well, Filmy Flow is one of those songs that he just finished really quick, you know? Sometimes, man, we get these tracks from Kay, and if Treach gets on it first, you know, he'll just finish the song really fast.
So if Tupac was still alive in 2020, 2021, what do you think he would be doing? I almost feel he would have been in politics or something.
Yeah, Pac would be all over the place, man. He would had so many grassroots organizations just rocking. I think a lot of you know, just inner city youth would be self-sustained. I don't think there would be so much division in hip hop right now and as much beef going on in hip hop right now. Yeah, and Pac would have definitely been, you know, in politics and definitely a thought leader in the community.
When people talk about greatest rappers of all time, a lot of people will say Biggie, they'll say Pac. Can we put Treach in that category though?
Definitely, man. I would definitely put Treach in that category. Treach was one of those guys who take a record like Filmy Flow. Here we go now, if you. And Treach had a lot of harmony with what he's doing, and you get a 50 Cent, you get a Ja Rule, you get a DMX after Treach, you get an Eminem after Treach. So he's inspired so many people. I just think that I wish that we would have been more consistent with our body of work and put out more albums. And I think, Treach would have been better judged by more of a body of work.
So what do you mean by that?
Because in our careers, I mean, this year we're celebrating our 30th anniversary, and we probably only put out 4 albums, perhaps, in 30 years, in a 30-year gap. So I feel we should have at least 15 to 20 albums under our belt.
So why do you think that is? Is that on your part, or is it the record label, or?
Yeah, no, that was strictly us. Naughty by Nature, when we blew up, Kaygee began producing other artists. Treach was doing a lot more television and film. I was doing the merchandise and a lot of community stuff. So we just kind of lost our way, and then we started imploding. So it's definitely all on us. Nobody else.
If everybody would listen to Vinnie and stayed away from acting, maybe had a couple more albums.
Nah, it is what it is, man, because, hey, we kind of laid that blueprint from having a film company, having a record label, having our retail store downtown Newark in '94. That was the blueprint for what you saw come after. So everyone in hip hop at a certain time had a clothing line, had a record label, and had a film company. So
Sure.
we're proud to lay that blueprint, and it just helped diversify hip hop to what it's doing right now. Look at all of the billionaires it's given birth to.
So in 1999, you guys are back. You have Jamboree, yet another song that you can play at a basketball game, at a wedding. I mean, how does it feel to have all these classic songs that can relate to people that don't even like hip hop?
Right. I mean, it's a great feeling, man. And we kind of got our wind beneath our wings, and we knew how to fly. So records like Jamboree, those feel-good party vibe joints that were more inclusive, we were like, yeah, that's our lane, man. We could definitely do the hardcore thing, but when it comes to touring, I don't want to play in a basement all the time. I want to be in arenas. So that helps.
I mean, do you have any idea when you're putting a song together, you have Filmy Flow, you have Jamboree or Hip Hop Hooray, that it's going to relate to pretty much every audience?
Well, at the time, by the time we got to Hip Hop Hooray, we knew from O.P.P and just being out on the road and touring and seeing how people reacted to that, especially when they flipped O.P.P down to You Down with MTV. So big up Ed Lover for that. That really crossed us over into that MTV mainstream middle American audience. So by the time we got the Hip Hop Hooray, we knew, and from our, early club day experiences, again, with that call and response and crowd engagement, we knew what kind of records would work for audiences.
Nice. So as a body of work, do you have a favorite project you've worked on?
Yes, I would say the Poverty's Paradise album, the Grammy Award winning album, because again, I feel that we were most focused then. We were most just concentrating on the music, and it was before all the drama. So that was the one.
Now, you say drama, you brought up Imploding a couple of minutes ago. Was there something that sparked that, or just you guys been together for so long?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of us being together for so long. Once we surface as Naughty by Nature, everyone tries to identify, well, Kaygee is more important, or Vin is more important, or Treach is more important. You have all of that going on. And then, as Kay is producing and discovering other artists, Treach was producing and discovering other artists. And it just spread the energy so thin that it hurt the nucleus, so it was what it was.
So when you have an issue, who steps up to the plate and gets you guys back together? Is it you?
Actually, when we all fell apart, it was Kay and Treach who really started communicating with each other more first, because I felt like I had always been in the middle, and I was the voice of reason. It was just so much going on because Kay had a crew, Treach had a crew, and I'm sitting in the middle damn, this whole thing is imploded. And I put in my work. So at a certain point, I was like, you know what? I can't do anymore. I'm going to go do my thing. And then Kay and Treach began communicating again. And then I was like, all right, well, because they butted heads a lot. you know, in the past. So I'm like, all right, well, if these guys get together and they're ready to work and they're ready to do their thing, then I'm all in. You know, I've never gone anywhere.
Sure. Now, do you have a dream collaboration?
Dream collaboration. I would say, yeah, that Treach Eminem collab would be dope.
Wow.
You know, because Eminem has always bigged up Treach for the longest. You know, and what I was thinking, I was like, you know what, Eminem should produce a track on Treach, and then we all get on it and rock out, or at least Eminem produces a track, and then M and Treach just go back and forth and rock out. You know what I mean?
That'd be crazy. I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Vinny, it's an absolute pleasure talking to you. Anything else you want to promote, or how can fans keep up with you?
Yeah, well, just go to naughtybynature.com. In there, you'll find all of our social media, individual and collectively. Naughtybynaturestore.com, that's our online shop. And be on the lookout, man. Thanks to everyone for 30 years of love and support. Right now, we're putting together our 30th anniversary documentary. We're working on new music. We'll do a 30th anniversary merch drop, merch capsule, and we're earmarking September of 2021 for everything to drop, and we'll just keep marketing, promoting it all through this holiday season. And we look forward to getting back on the road 2022, 2023. Absolutely. And man, can't wait to get back outside.
Excellent. Vin Rock, thank you so much for your time, sir.
All right, likewise.